All right, people, how's it going? Good afternoon. We've got ourselves some rookies and sophomores to look at. Now, the news is, of course, overall quite good, as it has been most weeks when it comes to this. The Seahawks are getting great, great returns on their rookie class, and a little bit out of the sophomores, too. And I don't think there's any reason to pretend that things were different on Sunday when the rookie class played really well. But one thing that I'm starting to notice as these weeks move on is they're starting to get a little more credit for it. PFF is starting to see some of the things that we see. And even though it doesn't ultimately matter, right? Like a player is however good he is. If PFF says that he's worse or better than he actually is, it doesn't change the fact that he is what he is. So at the end of the day, I understand it doesn't matter, but it's still cool to see the things that you think you see backed up by people who are paid a lot of money to try to figure out what the real deal is. So with that in mind, let's start taking a look at these rookies and sophomores, starting with the offensive line. Charles Cross played a good game. His pass protection was good. He allowed 2 pressures, and that boosted his grade up a little bit by itself. His run blocking grade from PFF is not great. Watching the games myself personally, I don't really see it. I don't understand where that comes from. I think that might be a little bit unfair personally, but that's what they have for the moment. Given the fact that Charles Cross is, and I keep saying this because it continues to be true, Charles Cross is 21 years old. He is a young rookie. Him taking longer to become a fully well-rounded great player is understandable. He should be behind a guy like Abe Lucas right now, which right now he is. Abe Lucas, PFF grades up to about 66. He's allowed 3 sacks on the year. They actually gave the one of the sacks that Gino got hit with to him, which I'm not 100% sure I agree with, but I can understand why. He gave up a couple pressures, but overall he is playing a little bit better than Cross. His run block grade is pretty solid, 64.3. He's got 5 penalties. I think 2 of those have been nonsense. But he is overall a little bit ahead of Cross, and I want to reiterate here. I think that should be expected right now, and I don't think that should be anything for anybody to be concerned about. Focus on the good news here. Focus on the upside. We have 2 starting tackles in this league who are playing about or a little above league average. When PFF gives you a grade of 60 to 69, you're in that area where you're playing decent. You're pretty good. You're not really good yet, but you're close. And both those guys are already there. Now, poor Jake Curhan did get out there for a little bit and got completely torched. He gave up that sack on that spin move on Gino. He gave up another pressure. His pass block grade was 0, which I've never seen before. I didn't even think that was possible. But yeah, his pass block grade was 0. Run block grade was 50.1, so his overall PFF grade is 30.1. So, look, he's not a guard. Jake Curhan is not a guard. Jake Curhan is a right tackle. So, if you want the best results, that's where you have to put him. That's how I feel about that. But he does get his first snaps of the season. And that's it for the offensive line. Let's go to the linebackers. Boye Mafe played, I think, a really nice game against the run. He was very solid against the run, and he added 1 QB pressure. Excuse me. So he had a couple tackles as well. His PFF grade went up. I think the way he played the run in this most recent game was quite good. And you can see we have a little bit of a rhythm going right now with Taylor and Mafe playing different situations. So Mafe, good game. He's not putting up flashy stats yet, but I didn't expect that. He's another guy who is, not only is he relatively young, but he is raw. The dude is raw, so I'm not expecting him to take over games right now. But he's doing his job. Linebackers, the other 2 not doing anything yet. Offensive skill, and here's the big one, guys. Ken Walker. Finally, PFF gives him his due. I mean, it was pretty obvious it was going to happen. The dude almost had a 200-yard game. But his PFF grade boosted all the way up to 77.5. And like I went over in the video yesterday morning, he's up to about 440 yards, 75 touches. He's got 4 touchdowns, so he's getting in the end zone too. He's busting off big runs. He's genuinely becoming the best player on the offense outside of Geno, and that's just because he's the quarterback. This is definitely something that I thought was possible if Penny got hurt, but to see it is still special. So Ken Walker had a great game, best game of his career, and PFF rewarded him handsomely for it. Derek Young actually played a decent amount, but mostly he just did run blocking. His grade dipped a little bit, and he's not really doing much yet. A few people have noted that every time Derek Young is in the game, we run the ball. It's like basically a tell. We might want to clean that up a little bit before we get too deep into the season and teams start to figure that out. It's like you can pretty much guarantee that the Derek Young snaps are going to be runs, it feels like, especially when it's like Derek, Eskridge, and Metcalf on the field as your three receivers. Somebody noted that it's literally run 100% of the time when it's those three. But not much from him. Still quiet rookie. And the Eskridge, again, it's one step forward, three steps back with this guy. He has a decent game against the Cardinals, makes a few plays. We're getting a little excited. We're trying to open up our hearts to the Eskridge. And then he does that. PFF grade plummeted after that one. He had a fumble that, stupidly, by the way, unfairly got credited to Geno Smith. That pitch play that Geno threw to D gets credited to Geno as a fumble. So keep that in mind at the end of the season when they're doing final year stats. And he had a penalty on a 21-yard catch and run by Marquise Goodwin. And he had one run for 4 yards. So, yeah, we're still not in a great place with D. And honestly, this is a great opportunity for him, okay? Metcalf's probably going to miss some time. Lockett's not 100%. Now is your time, D. Eskridge. Don't waste it by messing around with this kind of stuff, all right? This is maybe the one real chance you're going to get to show what you can be in the NFL. You're already an older player. You were somebody who was supposed to be ready to go as soon as they got into the NFL because you were 24, 25. Hasn't happened yet, but here's your opportunity. You're not going to get a better one in the few years you're going to be here, I don't think. So let's see something better than that. And let's get to the defensive backs, which is always the fun part of this segment. Kobe Bryant had a really nice game. His PFF grade jumped like 6 points, picked up like 5 tackles, and didn't give up anything too big in coverage. Should have gotten an interception, but we're not going to be too mad about that, I guess. It was in garbage time. But he got gypped out of an interception, which would have been really nice. I think it was Woolen batting it to Bryant as well, which would have been beautiful, but not to be. But he did play a really good game overall, and he's now to the point where I'm feeling good about him playing a little out of position right now. If he was getting completely blasted off the field like he did in some of those early games, I would say, is this good for his confidence? But he's playing well enough now to where I can say experience can't be a bad thing. So that's cool. Tariq Woolen had a good game as well. I know he gave up a touchdown, but he had another PD, so he's making plays on the ball. He had one play where he knocked the ball down and it still got caught somehow, or knocked the ball away and it still got caught, which, horrendous fluke. What else can you say other than that? And I think his coverage was good. Like the touchdown he gave up, can't really put that on him. Like it's basically a pick play, and I don't know if he did anything wrong on that play. So Woolen, I think, did his job. You didn't see a whole lot of damage done by Los Angeles outside receivers. Joey Blunt just had the silly penalty on special teams, no tackles, no stats. So not a lot from him, and that's it for the rookies and sophomores. So again, it's good. Ken Walker finally gets his big day. The defensive backs are still playing relatively well. Offensive line, like everything is just clicking right now. And if Trey Brown can make an impact when he comes back, we're going to have one of the sweetest crops of young players in the entire league. So on this level, this team is doing an A-plus job. There's really nothing you can say here. Maybe there's some part of you that is kind of wishing that Boye Mafe was a little more explosive, but I just don't see it that way when he's at where he is in his development as a player. This is a very raw piece. I think we're getting great stuff out of pretty much everybody who's seen the field, except for D. Eskridge, but he's just going to have to be the black sheep. And yeah, I'll see you guys later today. There will be another video. I'm going to start going into the trade deadline stuff. Hawk's Nest stream tonight over on his channel. It's going to be at 8 o'clock tonight. 8 o'clock. We had to move it back an hour, but we will be going live to talk about this Chargers post game, talk about what we thought, talk about what we liked, maybe some stuff we didn't like, talk about how life is right now as a Seahawks fan. So hope to see you guys there. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Go Hawks. And it's a promising class of young players we've got here. That's for sure.